Good morning. Welcome to your Wednesday, September 12th, 10 a.m. weather briefing. Yesterday across the region, we had a warm day in Pax River with a high temperature of 91 degrees. Here at Wallops, we got up to a high of 87 degrees with plenty of sunshine across the area. The rest of the region seeing temperatures in the mid 70s to our north and the upper 80s as we move farther south. 69 degrees was the cool spot at Baltimore. Here, Wallops down to a low of 77 degrees, and then some areas seeing some shower activity. Salisbury saw the most rainfall with some showers that developed and sat over the city with 1.19 inches of rainfall, and that was the most across the region. And as of 9 a.m. this morning, mostly cloudy here at Wallops with a temperature of 81 degrees. Upper air sounding this morning, showing a southeasterly wind at 7 knots at the 1,000-foot level, and then rather benign winds all the way up to the 20,000-foot level. We start to see a slight increase with our wind max out of the southwest at 16 knots. Freezing level this morning was at 14,000 feet. The current surface analysis from this morning depicting a frontal boundary that is stalled just to our west. It was the focal point for some shower activity this morning that didn't quite make its way into the Wallops area. This frontal boundary should pretty much remain where it's at over the next several hours, and then as Florence continues to progress westward, it'll actually push this frontal boundary back to the west, and then eventually the front will wash out, really being a non-factor for our area in terms of weather concerns, just producing the amount of cloudiness that we're seeing across our area this morning, which will continue into this afternoon. So as we look at the next 24 hours, southeasterly winds this morning about 5 to 10 knots, expecting dry conditions through the remainder of the day. Winds will increase slightly out of an east-southeasterly direction after the noontime hour at about 7 to 12 knots, and then we'll see a max temperature today of around 86 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. As we head towards this evening, easterly winds at 7 to 12 knots, and then shifting more northeasterly and dropping down to 5 to 10 knots, and we could potentially see some areas of fog developing around 8 p.m., and that fog chances will continue through the remainder of the overnight hours into tomorrow morning with light onshore winds at about 5 to 10 knots. Temperatures expected to drop down to around 75 degrees, which is around what the lows have been the past several days. And then by tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., the fog should begin to erode. Temperatures still hovering in the mid-70s with east-northeasterly wind beginning to develop at 8 to 13 knots. As we head into Thursday, we'll have mostly cloudy skies and breezy conditions with scattered rain showers likely, as we'll start to experience some of the outer rain bands from Florence begin to affect our area, especially during the afternoon and evening. We'll get up to a high of 82 degrees, and winds will be, it looks like those winds will be just above wind advisory criteria heading into the later portions of the afternoon and evening. Hence a likely scenario that we will see winds above that mark. Thursday night, mostly cloudy to overcast with scattered rain showers likely and breezy with a low of 74 degrees. And then Friday, Florence continues to impact our area just in terms of some breezier conditions and some of the light scattered rain shower bands that will be moving across the area. We'll get up to a high of 80 degrees, and winds look like they'll be maxing out on Friday with wind gusts 35 miles per hour or below that mark. So it's really all we're going to get out of this system in terms of the wind conditions, and we'll have some light coastal flooding, minor coastal flooding, beginning on Friday and then continuing into Saturday and potentially even Sunday as well. But Friday and Saturday look to be the days where we could see some of the potential for some minor coastal flooding, as we'll have 1 to 2 foot tidal anomalies during that time with the storm surge. As we head into this weekend, Florence will continue to impact the eastern shore with some breezy conditions and some of the scattered rain showers moving through the area. Saturday could potentially see maybe even an isolated thunderstorm with a surface boundary potentially trying to interact with the tropical moisture that'll be moving through the area, but not likely. We'll get up to a high of 80 degrees on Saturday as well. Sunday looks like Florence will be well west of the area and south, where we should start to see more of a drier conditions on Sunday. Can't rule out the possibility that we do see some of the some light drizzle or maybe even an isolated shower move onshore as the easterly flow continues across our area. We'll get up to a high of 82 degrees. On Monday, still much the same. It looks like a better chance that we might see some of the showers move onshore with continued onshore flow across our area. We'll have, again, a high of 82 degrees. And then on Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 83 degrees. As of 8 a.m. this morning, Florence was a Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. Was experiencing some gusts up around 160 miles per hour. We had a minimum central pressure of 943 millibars, and it is continuing its west-northwesterly track at about 17 miles per hour. National Hurricane Center forecasted track continues to progress southward, as do the model trends. With this system, they're pretty well clustered in terms of taking the storm as a Category 4 hurricane, at least up until about the just offshore of the southern portions of North Carolina by Friday morning. And then it really becomes a question in terms of what happens with this system. It will begin to die off and we're becoming a Category 3 hurricane by that time frame on Friday, and then really beginning to drop off after that. But this question is in terms of what does this storm do once it gets right on the coast of the Carolinas? Does it not make its way onshore and continue to stall out as the upper level ridge to its north begins to increase and cuts off its steering flow, which really just trapped the system just offshore? Or will it be able to make its way inland? And that's where the models really begin to diverge. The system continues to slow down with its steering flow pretty much being cut off, and there is the potential that the system really doesn't even make landfall until Saturday now, as the system could potentially just hover offshore there and potentially make landfall in South Carolina. Right now it looks like anywhere from Wilmington to Myrtle Beach still, but there is the potential that it could drift even farther south, depending on how much it stalls out and hovers just off the coastline. And then after that, it becomes a question mark too in terms of the system. Does it progress farther south into Georgia and meander there and progress inland, or some model trends are starting to show that it does get picked up by an upper level trough that'll begin to make its way through the area into the early portions of next week. It could potentially impact us by mid next week as some of that moisture makes its way through our region. But again, there's a lot of question marks in terms of what exactly the track is going to be. This is the 12Z hurricane model guidance, again, well clustered up until it gets to the Carolina borders, and really either shows a southward drop and continues to progress into Georgia, or it gets picked up by the trough, depending on which models you believe. A lot of these use the GFS to initialize it, hence why you're seeing the northward turn, which has been shown by the GFS model here lately. The European guidance, however, shows more of that drift down into the Carolinas, and again, it's really a big question mark because of the steering flow really being cut off and this strong upper level ridge building over top of it. There's really not much there to really steer it, so it's a matter of how strong this trough is going to be that's going to try to dig in and pick the system up, and if not, that will allow the remnants of Florence to drop farther south into the southeastern United States. But overall, still going to be a catastrophic event for that area, as the Carolinas, the southern portions of the North Carolina and northern South Carolina, some of those areas are going to pick up well over 2 feet of rain with storm surge into the lower to mid-teens potentially for those areas. So some very catastrophic flooding for those areas. But here at Wallops, again, 1 to 2 feet tidal anomalies or storm surge across our area, leading to some minor coastal flooding for Friday and Saturday, and potentially even Sunday morning. Wind gusts mainly going to be below 35 miles per hour, and those will pretty much max out on Friday. We'll see sustained winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, and we'll probably be in wind advisory criteria by tomorrow afternoon. That'll continue probably through at least Saturday, is what it's looking like. And as far as rainfall amounts are concerned, we'll see some lighter rain bands pretty much plaguing our area over the next several days. And we'll see probably right around an inch of rainfall. Could potentially see some 2 inches in some spots if some of these rain bands are really able to, we get some of those deep layer tropical moisture bands move through our area, which could drop some isolated heavy rainfall amounts, which could potentially see some areas of 2 inches across the eastern shore. That will conclude the weather update for today in terms of Florence. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:15 for your daily operations weather briefing and another discussion in terms of Florence by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll also be issuing some updates today from the weather office via email regarding Florence. But as I've mentioned before, in our forecast guidance, we'll also realize that this system is really not going to be too much of an issue for our local area. It's mainly going to be major impacts down in the Carolinas and also the Tidewater region. Thank you and have a great day.